Like if you are doing something at a point where it's not necessary to do so, you're not going to have the energy to do it. And when you don't have that energy, it's likely because you have resources. But if you're still operating in survival mode where maybe you had to go it alone, maybe you had no other choice, those resources don't disappear. So the energy that you had is going to be diminished. So this welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking to you about survival mode. In particular, I'm going to be giving you 2 signs that will show you that you need to get out of survival mode. Life comes at you fast, and sometimes when life is coming at you so fast, the only choice you have is to operate in survival mode. This is a time where you don't have the opportunity to really be picky, to choose, to stop. It's just kind of go, go, go without processing because there's no opportunity or space to do so. And the thing is that survival mode is a very beneficial mechanism when we are in trauma, when we're having hard times and we need to keep going. But the problem happens when that survival mode mentality stays with us long beyond the seasons of our lives where we actually need to operate in that space. I recently started a 9-to-5 side hustle. As the city has started to open up from the pandemic, part of the requirements is that they need us to be back in office. I live in the suburbs of Toronto and my office is in like downtown core. Prior to me quitting my job in 2019, I was actually working in downtown core and I used to commute 2 hours each way. So I was commuting 4 hours a day to get to work for almost 2 years until I quit. So being told that I need to come back downtown, even though it was only twice a month, I was feeling this tremendous amount of anxiety. It was so illogical. Like the first time I went to work, I couldn't fall asleep until like 3 in the morning. I did not understand why. I was so anxious. I was panicking. Even though now I have a car and everything, my commute would be much shorter, but something about thinking about taking the bus or driving downtown was just not sitting well with my spirit at all. The second time I went to the office, so I've been there twice now. The second time I went, the night before on Sunday night, I was having the exact same feelings. And I decided that I wasn't gonna just suffer in silence. So I reached out to my friend and I was like, hey, I am feeling like ridiculously illogical anxiety. What she said to me was that my body could not process the fact that this time that I'm going downtown to the same location where I was before was different from 3 years ago when I was under a lot of stress. So my mind knows that it's different, but my body is still moving in the anxiety of having to commute, having to run, sprint for buses, commute for 2 hours, sometimes even more than that each way. Staying in survival mode when you no longer need to be there can be very problematic to the situations that you find yourself in. So I'm going to share with you 2 signs that you need to get out of that survival mode mentality. The first sign is that tools that used to serve you are now becoming problematic. For my example, the first day I was going back to work, I was in a rush mentality because I needed to constantly run. I needed to run 7 minutes to catch a bus, to catch another bus, to catch another bus. But that same rushed energy made me hurt my car. I literally injured my brand new baby car because I was in this place. That tool that was very beneficial that I needed, because if I was taking my time on a 2-hour commute, I would not get to work on time. It would be problematic. I could potentially get written up or fired. And this happens to us in many different ways. Imagine you get into a new relationship with somebody and he is nice, he's dependable, he's caring, he's considerate, his word, he keeps it. And because you are still operating in your past relationship where you could never depend on that person, where whatever he said, you would have to remind him like 6-7 times in order for you to make sure that he was actually going to do it. Imagine bringing that energy into this new relationship. Somebody who gives you their word and sticks to their word. Imagine how they will feel if you're constantly reminding them or nagging them or double checking, triple checking, quadruple checking with them. They are going to feel that you don't trust them. They're going to feel that you don't think they're dependable. Whereas you are operating from a place where you experienced someone who wasn't dependable, and that's what you had to do to make sure that, one, your time wasn't wasted, or two, they wouldn't disappoint you because they constantly never took things seriously. So that tool was absolutely important for you because you needed it to survive that relationship you were in. But now that exact same behavior could be the reason why this new relationship is going to fail. Wisdom is knowing what tools are needed for one season and then having the ability to process and put them away when they are no longer serving. These tools will stay in your toolbox. You will always have them, but to have them in your pocket when they don't have need will have you messing up situations prematurely because you're operating in something that isn't necessary. Like imagine needing a screwdriver and constantly bringing a hammer. And instead of screwing something in gently, you're like hammering the walls. You're gonna break it. So this is one of the things that you really need to do. Like figure out what behaviors of survival mode are no longer needed because you're not in that place anymore, and put those tools away so that you don't end up bringing in potential problems that were never going to be there because you're operating from an old mentality in a new place. The second sign that you need to stop operating in survival mode is when things that used to be easy for you are now becoming difficult. So when you're in survival mode, you are hustling, you're grinding, you're laser focused, you're almost operating in a robot state of, I just gotta get whatever it is I gotta get done. But the thing is that when you are not in that place anymore, that type of energy, the drive, the discipline, the tunnel vision, it probably won't be able to be sustained. And part of the reason for this is because you had a grace on you to operate in that survival mode. As I said, when I look back on the fact that I was commuting for such a long time, commuting for hours, I'm like, how on earth was I able to do that? I could never do that right now. And part of the reason why I could never do that right now is because the grace that I had on me that gave me the favor and the ability to do that is gone, because I no longer am in a place where that is a necessary part of my life. So when you are operating outside of the grace and pushing yourself and forcing yourself to do things that you did at one point, it's not going to be as easy. It's like if you're in the middle of the ocean and there's nothing around you and you need to get to shore, you're going to have strength to be able to swim like you've never swam before. Whereas if you were in that same ocean, but there was a boat like 2 minutes away, you probably would have just enough energy to get to that boat. This also happens a lot in a way that might be TMI, but do you know, like when you need to use the bathroom so badly and you're like driving home or whatever, and you could like hold it and you're good on it, but then the moment you get into the bathroom, it's like you can't hold it for a second longer. It's that same kind of energy. Like if you are doing something at a point where it's not necessary to do so, you're not gonna have the energy to do it. And when you don't have that energy, it's likely because you have resources. But if you're still operating in survival mode where maybe you had to go it alone, maybe you had no other choice, those resources don't disappear. So the energy that you had is going to be diminished. So this becomes your opportunity to take a step back and say, who can help me? What supports do I need? What supports do I have available that I didn't have? And how am I underutilizing them? Because if there is the opportunity for two people to do it together, if you have the people around you who can help you with it, it's going to become way too heavy for you to carry, even though at one point in time you were carrying it by yourself. Because at that point you had no other choice, survival mode. But now we are thriving. So when you're thriving and there's support around you, you're not going to have the energy, you're not going to have the weight, you're not going to have the strength to do the things you once did, because that strength is unnecessary. Our body has a way of telling us that we're suffering unnecessarily by making things that were once light unbearably heavy, to let us know that you're not in that place of being an island anymore. So it's time for you to step out of it and get out of survival mode, start thriving, and utilize the community and the resources that are available to you, because that's what they're there for. I understand that being in survival mode for such a long time can make it very, very difficult for you to get out of that space. So I have 3 tips for you to help you fully be in the new moment and the new reality that has now become yours. So the first tip is to seek guidance. Have conversations with people, talk to them, get support. The same way I spoke to my friend and I was able to fully understand what was going on with me, I would have never seen it otherwise. You need to do that. As I said, things are heavy now because you shouldn't be carrying it by yourself. So figure out the people in your life, in your community, in your space, the resources available to you that are meant to help make that load much lighter for you, and utilize every single one of them. The second tip is to sit in the discomfort of what you're feeling. when you are moving to a new phase in your life, we don't automatically do it. Like, especially with survival mode, you'll just continue to live life, but you need to actually stop and sit in it and be like, what is this discomfort? Where is it coming from? What is it trying to tell me? And is it the truth? Is this reality that I thought that I was living at one point still the reality that I'm in now? And if it isn't, what am I supposed to do with that information? It's gonna be uncomfortable, but that's okay. It's better to move through it than to avoid it and then keep coming back to it. I didn't realize the toll that my commute had taken on me until 3 years later when I was on it again and I was out here hitting my own car and being stressed and overwhelmed, right? So sit in that discomfort, figure out what was necessary in one season, see that it's no longer necessary, and then work on ways to get your mind and your body and your soul in alignment with your new reality, because my body was still in the past, even though my mind and my soul was here. So figuring out a way to get that synergy and make sure that every single part of you is on the same path will help you to really get out of survival mode and start thriving at the level that you already are, just getting to the place where every single part of you realizes that as well. The third and final tip is to allow yourself to be in this new reality. You are no longer at the place where you were at one point, and you need to trust that that's the truth. Sometimes we get so scared that we're going to go back to where we were before that we can't put those tools away because we need to hold on to them because they're our comfort, because those tools, the things we did in survival mode, is what allowed us to survive that time in our life. But you're in a new reality now, and you need to get to a place where you can sit in that, bask in it, and be comfortable, understanding that, as I said, the tools are in the toolbox now. Should they ever be needed again, you can go grab them because you already have them available. But holding on to them and keeping them all in your hands, keeping them prepared, always being on defenses, is going to cause you more harm than good, because it won't allow you to experience all the blessings and the opportunities that are now available to you in this new reality that you have. Get out of survival mode. If you are no longer there, it is a blessing. It's where you're meant to be, and you owe it to yourself, to the self that had to survive, that got all the way to the place where they could thrive, to fully absorb and bask in this new space that you're in. So I'd love to hear your comments and your thoughts and what you do to help get your body back in synergy whenever you feel out of it in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.